The website of your company is one of the most essential tools that you have in your digital arsenal. It can contain information about your company, news, services you offer, presentation of your team, and contact options. It can even serve as a point of sale if it is an e-commerce website. Because it serves so many purposes, you want to know exactly whether it works as expected. To start analyzing your website, you must follow a couple of steps. First, you need to choose a website analytics tool. Then, you need to set it up correctly to collect data from your visitors. And once you have data, you need to analyze available data inside the tool and make decisions based on it to improve the results. Let's start with choosing the website analytics tool. As you imagine, there are thousands of available tools such as Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, Mixpanel, Keap, and more. There is no definitive answer which one will be the best for your company. It depends on the budget you have, data you need, and other tools that you use. However, if you don't have specific requirements, Google Analytics is the safest bet. It is free, it has a ton of options, and it is by far the most popular out of all our website analytics tools. That's why we will use it as an example.
To start using Google Analytics, go to the website analytics.google.com and log in into your Google account. Once you logged in, click on the Setup button and follow the on-screen instructions. As an account name, you can use any name you want. You can use data sharing settings without any changes. On the next screen, you want to specify whether you want to measure web or app data. We will choose the web. Then fill the name and the URL of your website, industry, and reporting time zone. Then accept all of the agreements and set your email communication. Then you will be placed inside the Google Analytics panel. The final step is to set up tracking. Just click on the settings icon, tracking info, and tracking code. If you have an IT team in your company, just copy the code and send it to them to paste in the head section of each page of the website you want to track. Instead of pasting the code into every page, if you have Google Tag Manager added to your website, which is used for managing different codes, including website tracking codes, you can ask to add Google Analytics tag there. Alternatively, if you have access to the source code of your website, you can paste it yourself. It can be done in any content management system like WordPress. In your dashboard, go to Plugins and then click on Add New. Search for headers and footers. Click Install Now and then Activate. Now if you go to the settings, you see Insert Headers and Footers tab. In this tab, you can paste any code, including Google Analytics tracking code, and it will be added to the header, body, or footer section of all of the pages of your website. Once you paste the code, click Save. If the code was correctly added to your website, you will see the change in the status here within 48 hours. Once the installation is complete, you can start the fun part, which is analyzing data and drawing conclusions. We will use Google Store data as an example. On the left side, you have a lot of available reports, like reports about your users, reports about the most popular pages, reports about sources of your website traffic. I will focus on the most important ones for most businesses. Each report has some standard options. You can save your report in Google Analytics to use it later. You can export it to different formats like Excel if you want to analyze it there. You can share the report with your colleagues, and you can check suggestions from Google on what can be improved on your website. Each report gives you an option to choose the date range that you are interested in. Also, you have an option to add a segment if you want to display data only for part of the users who are interesting for you. For example, only for new users or only for users who are mobile visitors. Below you have a chart or graph that visualizes the date, and of course you can adjust the view to your needs, like change chart type, change date range, or change data that is presented. Most reports also have filter option, and we will take a closer look at it later. The idea is to include data that is interesting for you and exclude data that is not interesting for you. Also, in reports you have a table with data and all kinds of statistics. You can sort it based on different statistics by clicking on the header. Let's start with the Audience tab, where you can find out who your visitors are. Overview gives you the general information. The most important stats are the users, so basically how many people visited your site, sessions, so how many times your site was visited by the users, and one user can generate multiple sessions. Page views, so how many different pages of your website were displayed during all sessions, and during one session the user can see multiple pages. Average session duration, so how much time users spent on your website by average. You want all of these metrics to be higher each month. Another important metric is bounce rate, which shows you how many people visited your website but didn't take any action, such as button click or click on a link, and of course, you want this statistic to be as low as possible. Also, you can check from which countries and cities your visitors are. Other interesting stats in the Audience tab are age and gender, and devices breakdown. To see age and gender data in the new account, first you should enable marketing and advertising reporting features, which will be also useful when you start advertising on Google Ads for remarketing purposes. Just go to Demographics Overview and click the Enable button to turn on advertising features. As I mentioned, you can check all this data for any period of time you want. You can change it in the top right. You should track all of the statistics that are important to your business and monitor how these statistics change month by month. What is the seasonality and the influence of your promotional campaigns? As a starting point, you can select data for the whole year. You could even use Compare to option, which will display data for the previous period too, in this case for the previous year. It will help to check whether there is any seasonality. Click Apply and also change the view to month, because daily view may be too detailed. Once you choose data you are interested in and the period, it's time to draw some conclusions. How to do that? For example, you can see that overall you have less users this year than in the last year. You need to think about what could be the reason. Maybe you spent less money for promotion. Maybe you added less content to your website. Maybe some competitors stole some of your users. Or maybe you had some issues in delivery of the products and you lost some clients. The other thing is that you have the best results in terms of users for both years in May and November. You need to ask yourself a question: why these 2 months? As this is Google Store data, more users in May probably mean that they want to buy for Kids Day, and in November, users want to buy for the Christmas period. You should focus more efforts on these 2 months to monetize your products. Let's consider other examples. If you would see that the number of users is going up significantly in comparison to the previous months, it may be due to the advertising campaign you ran, or due to the new content that you added on your website. So if it's working, you should consider doing more of that. You can change the metrics by expanding the drop-down on the left side. For example, bounce rate. If you have a high bounce rate, for example above 60%, it may be an indication that your website is not intuitive to the users. You may decide to rebuild the site and improve user experience. If you would switch to the Age tab and see that the change for the particular age group is much higher than the average change for all groups, for example, you can see that 65 plus segment is growing. Even though the general trend is negative, you may try to monetize this fact and prepare more products or even special section on your website for this particular group of users. But as all of these stats we covered in this video are statistics for the whole site, you can see in an overall trend or direction that something good or something bad is happening on your website. And to fully understand what exactly in which part of the website and what to do about it, you need to dig deeper, and that's exactly what we will do in the next video.